You may well think we've lost the run of ourselves entirely by including magnolias in our catalogue of Irish wildflowers. And strictly speaking, of course, you would be right. But we're allowing ourselves from time to time to look at one or two species that are no longer found in the wild, but were so once upon a time and are now confined to parks and gardens. To find magnolia growing in the wild, we would have to go back a very long time, back before the Ice Age, 2.6 million years ago, to the woodlands which flourished in this part of Europe at that particular time during the last period of the geological epoch we refer to as the Tertiary. The last period of the Tertiary is the Pliocene. A long time ago, indeed, but the mere flick of an eye in the great calendar of geological time. During the Tertiary, Ireland was much warmer than it is today and had not yet detached itself from the European mainland. The landscape was covered with forests of enormous diversity that included not only magnolias, but a great variety of other tree species that only grow wild today in warmer tropical and warm temperate parts of the world. Swamp cypress, sweet gum and sour gum, tulip tree and Japanese umbrella pine, wingnut and redwood, alongside more familiar trees like oak and yew, maple and sweet chestnut, hazel, beech, walnut, pine, spruce and fir. But the warm and wonderful tertiary forests disappeared forever with the great chill that descended on the Earth's northern hemisphere some 2.6 million years ago. Magnolias are one of the oldest surviving plant families. Structurally very similar to plants we find as fossils in rocks going back 100 to 150 million years ago, and with a floral blueprint very similar to the ancestral flowers from which all of today's several hundred flowering plant families have evolved. Each family travelling down its own evolutionary pathway and developing its own particular, its own unique pollination strategy. The magnolias are a small family of 165 species today, confined in the wild to tropical and warm temperate parts of Asia, east and south of the Himalayas, and in America. In magnolias and their kin, the different floral organs sort of merge into each other, as it were, and they grow in whorls, just as leaves do, lacking the symmetry we find even in the simple flowers of other relatively primitive families such as buttercups. This is Campbell's magnolia from Sikkim in the Himalayan foothills, which has the largest flowers of any flowering tree, as much as 30 centimetres across. The large flowers are terminal and solitary, and there is no real distinction between sepals and petals. The flower has distinctively flattened stamens, without any real distinction between anther and filament, and this turret-like spiral of carpels. In the world in which magnolias evolved 100 to 150 million years ago, bees and butterflies had not yet appeared on the scene, and the flowers were pollinated mainly by beetles and some flies. But beetles have chewing mouthparts, so they're just as likely to eat other parts of the plant as they are to go for the pollen and nectar that's on offer. And this is thought to be part of the reason why magnolias have such thick, leathery leaves and tough fruits. Today, magnolias are still pollinated mainly by flower beetles. In some magnolias, rose chafer beetles make their way into the flowers just as they open, feeding at first on sweet juices exuding on and between the stigmas. Later on, they feed on the pollen when it is released. As the day warms, they just bask in the sunshine. Then, as evening falls and the outside temperature drops, the flowers close over. The beetles settle down for the night between the petals because it is 5 to 10 degrees warmer inside, and they are safe here from predators. As time goes by, the warnings from the scientific experts who know most about how the climate is changing as a direct result of our human actions become ever more alarming. in their predictions about what will happen unless we change our ways now. What seem like doomsday scenarios become more than mere possibilities. As things stand, the climate will warm by somewhere between 3 and 5 degrees by the end of this century unless we change our ways. Is it any consolation that with a return to climatic conditions not dissimilar to what they were during the Pliocene, we may have wonderful trees like this growing outside the walls in many more parts of the world, including our own?